Alright everybody, the moment you've been waiting for. This is the Emissaries of Light water set review. I know I always save this one for last because it's my favorite element, and I think this time it was worth the wait because we have a lot of really good cards here. Yeah, so let's get started. We have Andrea Rudeia. So I was actually confused about this one in another video. I thought it was a backup, but it's actually a forward, and the other one, I think her name is Kyrie. Yeah, she's the backup. But yeah, so Dancer, owner and Dancer, dull 2 active category 7 characters. All forwards your opponent control lose all abilities until the end of the turn. And then dull an active card named Cloud, put Andrea into the break zone, and choose a forward, put it to the bottom of its owner's deck. I think so far, like, because this is like the first introduction to FF7 in water now, I don't see the synergy too much in this for the second effect. But the first effect should be okay, right? Like, you could effectively block and then dull all their forwards, so they lose things like first strike if they have it, or prevent other ones from resolving effects. You could also just dull 2 category 7 characters first if it matters. It's a good effect. It's really cheap to use. It really just obviously depended on being an FF7 deck. So also it might make its way into Dancers. So if you guys haven't played against that deck is pretty annoying. Zell. When Zell enters the field, you may search for 1 forward of the same cost as the total cost of cards discarded to cast the Zell and add it to your hand. So I don't like this effect too much, right? Because it's very limited to what it can get, right? And you may search for 1 forward of the same cost as the total cost of discarded cards to cast the Zell, right? So it's either I'm searching a 1-drop or a 2-drop, like, for 4. No, I'd rather just play Merlwyb, right? Like, gets me any water character I need. And now, obviously, if that is in an off color that doesn't have a specific searcher, sure, but in water it's weird. I like the art, it should be very pretty, but Babis is going to look prettier. Kimari. So now this card is really good, right? In my opinion. Each forward you control with a Ronzo counter on it gains, if this forward is dealt damage by your opponent's summons or abilities, that damage becomes 0 instead. When Kimari enters the field, choose a forward you control, place 1 Ronzo counter on it. So he does his guardian job and he protects somebody, right? Obviously, there's a window here where when you target him before the counter is placed, your opponent can respond and negate this or remove the forward, and then this card is kind of dead. But that's okay. We have ways in some decks you can recur this and play it again, give something else a counter, or try again. And yeah, I think it's just really strong. To me, in my opinion, this pretty much changes the rarity on any card to a legendary. And if your legendaries don't already have this innate ability, it's just like, hey, now you're an even better legendary. It's probably one of the better cards in my opinion, backups that changes things for me. I think it will see a lot of play, especially in the 10 deck. So, yeah. Kyrie, when she enters the field, your opponent reveals their hand. Then look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Return these to the top or the bottom of your deck in an order. So just straight up, like her job says, informant. Get as much information from the game, the current state of the game, as possible. I like that it's EX burst too, so it can, if it matters, right? Like, you can, if your opponent attacks and it like reveals their hand, and then you're like, oh, okay, you kind of don't have shit in your hand. This next turn is mine to do stuff, right? Like, it's mine to make plays. So I don't know how many of these we play to try to like get that. I don't even know if it's worth it, right? But I know the ability to scry and stuff is very important. So she should see some play, I think. I think she's a good card. Also, she's 7 now, so might be used for other reasons. Clavat, he has the same effect as the new 2-drop backups in all of them, but when he enters the field, you may put him into the break zone. When you do so, draw 2 cards. Straight as easy as that. I'm not gonna lie, playing triple of this might be my thing this set, but we don't know yet. I think it's a good card for now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Genbu, So the Shijins, I'm still not impressed yet, but we haven't play tested. But when he enters, when he's dealt damage, the damage he takes is reduced by 3,000. That's his thing. Corsair. When Corsair enters the field, draw 2 cards, then discard 1 from your hand. It's not bad. And then you can put Corsair into the breaks and draw a card. Also not bad, but I think there's just better cards. EX bursts that do the first effect better. So also Merwood, incidentally. Sahajin enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls, return to a center hand, draw, and then discard. So just like bringing all those effects together, and then he can scry also for you. So I don't like the scry ones. I like the legendary ones. Like, they're just better. White Mage forward. When you discard 1 or more cards due to a summon or ability, draw a card. This effect will only trigger during your opponent's turn, which is weird, right? Like, I don't. It's. I wish he was a backup. That's all, right? I wish he was a backup. If he was a backup, he'd be busted, I think, especially for this new set only. I don't know if he's future proof, because not everybody discards, but I think this set we're looking at to see a lot more discarding things. So Sarah Mobius. When Sarah Mobius enters, first of all, what is this job here? Nachtflug? Somebody, was that just translated wrong or something? Or is that really what, like, anybody has any information on that, please let me know. When Sarah Mobius enters the field, gain a crystal. When you gain a crystal, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a backup, add it to your hand. If it's not a backup, put it to the top or the bottom of your deck. This is already amazing. Until the end of the turn, Sarah Mobius, you can pay a crystal away. She gains 1,000 power, and if Sarah Mobius dealt damage less than her power, that damage becomes 0. I think this is a really good card. I think the ability to manipulate your, the next cards as you go is going to be very intriguing. This set, there's going to be more emphasis on the crystal mechanic. We still have one more set to go all together to get crystal mechanics, but I think this Sarah in particular is going to grow with it for the next set as well. So I like her very much. She is a hero. I hope this Sarah Mobius also becomes full art. Titus, busted legendary. Titus cannot be blocked. When Titus is put from the field into its owner's deck, draw 3 cards. When Titus is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, you may put Titus on the bottom of its owner's deck. When you do so, choose a forward your opponent controls and put it at the bottom of its owner's deck. So this is going to be the #1 boogeyman and most annoying card in this next. Might be one of the most annoying cards you get to deal with next set. So very strong. It's going to be full art. Going to be expensive. Going to be played. Obviously, his only downside is EX bursts. Just if we haven't talked about that, right? Like, if when he swings, you hit an EX burst, he will die or whatever before his effect triggers, allowing him to draw cards. That's all. Just keep that in mind, right? Tros, FF10. When forward your opponent controls is returned from the field to its owner's hand, draw a card. This effect will only trigger once per turn. It's going to pair well with the Riku in the deck right now that's out, and just any other water card set. When a forward your opponent controls is returned from the field to the end, like, you can Leviathan something, reduce 2 things, and draw a card while he's out. He's pretty good. And then choose a forward of cost 4 less your opponent controls, returns to their stand. So at 3 damage, he can do it himself. So stuff to think about. Again, this one, he's not the best hero monster, but he is good, I think. I'm not sure if he'll see play yet, but he might. Fiona, when you enter the field, draw a card. When it is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, you may put Fiona on top of its owner's deck. Pretty simple. I think it's okay too. I guess I don't like that it's easily removed like that. Like that ice card, I can't remember. It's mandatory, right? Oh no, it's not. You may put Fiona on top of its owner's deck. I guess to save her, and then force the EX burst to draw. I like it better now when I read the whole card. Now this one confused the heck out of me, and I'm still not exactly clear on it. When Fusoya enters the field, select the following actions from the top to the bottom, up to the same number of elements other than water as as the cost you paid to cast Fusoya, right? So for every element other than water, you get to go down and activate those abilities, right? So, 2 colors is draw a card. 3 colors is draw a card and choose a summon in your break zone and add it to your hand. 4 colors is choose, draw a card, choose a summon, choose a character your opponent controls, return it to its hand. And 5 colors is choose a forward also and put that top of its owner's deck. I think 2 colors is enough, right? But 3 colors is just it's just a little extra. And I don't think you would pay 5 different colors for this guy to get all this. But he does protect against being stolen, from mind players and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think he's okay. I'm not set on him making his way into one of my decks yet, but I've been wrong before. So, you guys tell me. Furion. Warrior Rebel. When forward damage by Furion is put from the field into the break zone on the same turn, draw 2 cards. So, I love that we have the Rebels deck already. I'm just curious now if the Wind Water version might just be a reason to play this card. Obviously, you don't get, or would it be Wind Water Fire so you could still play Guy and then just replace the Fire Furion with this one somehow? I don't know. I think the other one's just fine, but he might have come out at the wrong time. He's a good card, right? Just, if you break something, when you forward damage by Furion is put from the field and break zone on the same turn, draw 2 cards, right? So you can force fights between them with any earth cards or whatever, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. He's a good card, but I don't know how much play he'll see. Vesvia, Soiree member. When Vesvia enters the field, if you control 2 or more Soirees, draw a card. When it enters the field, if you control 4 more Soirees, draw another card. So at 4, you draw 2 cards. Yeah, all those effects that these Soirees get are pretty interesting, and it just kind of help push the envelope for that deck to do things. When Marsh enters the field, you may search for a character of cost 2 or less other than light and dark and play it onto the field. When Marsh attacks, if you control 3 or more category FFT8 characters, draw a card. If you control 5 or more, draw 2 cards. Excuse me, guys. So, I'm tired. I don't think we needed another Marsh, and we definitely didn't need him in water. His effects are okay, but all in all, I think it's a little underwhelming. Yeah, it just comes in, plays a backup, right? And when he attacks, if you control 3, draw some cards. The problem is he has to attack, and that's a little slow. For his cost and his value and his power, it's not there for me. And so, I don't know. And for those reasons, I'm out, I think, on this card. Maya, we never did talk about this one. So, 1-drop Amathea Mobius Haste cannot attack or block. You can tap her right away and cast a summon from your hand. The cost required to cast is reduced by 3 and can be paid with CP of any element, and it cannot become 0. Remove that summon from the game after its use instead of putting it into the break zone. So this is the other legendary along with Titus. It's super cheeky, and I think will be played. I think the fact that you can just do any summon you want, and it's gonna be cheaper right away. Obviously, she won't survive too long, I don't think. But if she does, it's the equivalent of having Rudeia out for too long, right? Sometimes it's just oh, you can cast these much easier now, and it's well, that's annoying and seems unfair at first, but then they do get RFG'd, so the Mashiri is kind of you probably don't play Mashiri in that list, right? Because you have conflicting interests there. But yeah, she's good. And then you could be super cheeky and then Kuchu lane her yourself, so then she attacks, and then your opponent does. I'm obviously not on the first turn, right? Because if you Kuchu lane her, she loses the haste too. But I mean, if your opponent goes all out and they're oh, she's not gonna attack, then you just Kuchu lane her, blank her yourself, and then just swing out. Lightning. I think this card is funny like that she's wearing the Yuna outfit. When lightning enters the field, choose a forward. If the number of forwards your opponent controls is greater than the number of forwards you control, remove it from the game. And then you can, for one copy of lightning, use her S ability and do it again, right? You remove lightning from the game and play her onto the field at the end of the turn. So she does it again, kind of effectively removing 2 forwards in one turn if you're that behind. Which is cool. I think this card is very good. The only problem is that, you know, you need more lightnings, or you need to kind of like draw into them or have them early on. You can always just block, and then, you know, remove, kind of like how the old lightning used to be. Yeah, I like this card for a few reasons. She kind of helps water be a little more controlling and doesn't fall behind from aggro, so a lot of reasons to play this card. I wonder if they'll ever do lightning, but in the Cloud, the soldier uniform too, just for fun, because I've seen that art before too. And then this Leviathan, choose a forward of cost 5 or less, put it at the top or the bottom of its owner's deck. If this cost to cast Leviathan was paid with CP of 3 elements or different elements, also draw a card and then discard a card. Yeah, so this effect is going to be great to just cast, I think, for free with Rudeia. It's just like, oh, you can send that away, you peasant. Between the Chocobo Chick and this one, I like these two the most. Now, is the other effect worth it? No, I don't think so. I think this Leviathan is the first effect is good enough on its own to be played in a regular deck. It might see some play, but we don't know yet. And then the last is Leo. I think we talked about this one, and I'm kind of bummed that it's the last one because it's not my favorite card. You must control characters cost 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6 to cast Leo. You cannot play Leo due to summons or abilities, and when Leo enters field, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Cast 1 card among them without paying the cost, and then return the other cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. It's a lot of work for what might not be like enough reward, honestly. This setup just seems absurd, right? Like, there's very few 1-drops and then like 6-drops, right? Like that you could play in all in one deck. So I don't know how often we'll get this. If anybody's like, I'm so big on this card, please leave some reason why in the comments. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the water one. Top 5 cards are easily Kimari, Sarah Mobius, Titus, Lightning, and I want to say Tross or Clavat, actually, right? Like, with a few good runner-ups, right? We like the Maya, and we like the White Mage. But yeah, Sarah Mobius, Titus, Kimari, Maya, and Clavat, I think. And then a few other ones, but let me know what you guys are thinking. I think water is going to take a weird turn this set, all in all. Titus is going to be very important across every deck, I think, or every water-based deck, anything with water into it. The Sarah Mobius is going to be very important with crystals. Like any crystal deck, like water already had enough crystal support, I think, but this just makes it even better, right? Just what I'm thinking right now. And yeah, like we can start playing control a little more with lightnings and stuff. The Maya is going to make its way into summon decks. Yeah, lots of good stuff, man. This set has been very exciting. I have all my wrap-up thoughts on the Light and Dark one too. If you guys haven't checked that out, make sure to do so. But anyway, let me know which ones your favorites are and which ones you're after. I'll catch you on the next one, guys.